Hello and welcome to my knitting podcast. My name is Monika and this is episode 38. Though this is the first episode of the year technically. So yeah, I've been gone for quite a while due to health issues, but hopefully I have gotten things under control and I can start posting more regularly. So yeah, I can start with what I'm wearing. This is something I knit this year. It is my Seascape pullover. It's by Andrea Yetman and I knit this out of leftovers of very many different colors of, I think it's Sandnes garn Sunday. Yeah, double Sunday. So yeah, I do have all the colors listed in the description because I was still tracking all the color numbers and yarns at that point, though I do have a somewhat spotty record from here on. But yeah, I'll show you what I can. I won't show you everything I knit since the last episode. That's been almost a year ago, but I have shown quite a lot of what I have been knitting in a few of my stash down videos. So yeah, I think the last one was in March or April. Yeah. I'll show some of the things I have finished, and then I'll show you the things that I am working on. And depending on how much energy I have at the end, I might give you a little bit of a life update. Yeah. So, where to start? I do actually have a lot I'm not planning on showing, so I can start with kind of the big ticket things, I guess. I made a Scrappy sweater. I do not know what the different yarns are. It's not blocked yet. I have been terrible at remembering to do that. Let me see. Gotta figure out how to show it, because it does have right and like a front and back, but it's not so easy to see when I'm holding it up. I think I'm gonna have to figure out which side is the front and back by doing this. Yes. Taking me a bit of time to show it. Okay, here it is. So, it's a big and very oversized sweater. I will have some of the details of this in the description, but not all of them. And I am talking about them a bit out of order, so I don't remember on top of my head needle sizes and things like that, but needle sizes will be in the description. And this sweater, I happen to have one skein of very many different colors in very many different types of yarn. And some of them I held double, some of them I didn't. And the way I constructed this was I started knitting a panel, and then at some point I figured this could be the back panel. And then I just did some increases to form the neck hole, and then I did some decreases. And yeah, and then eventually I did get them back in one panel. So I just made basically a hole in the middle for the head. And then I continued down, and at some point I decided the armhole depth was large enough. Actually, I think I just made sure I had the same amount of rows on both sides. Connected them, knit in the round. The stripes are the same size, or the same amount of rows, and the first row in every color I did, I purled them, so you get this ridge. And since this is not blocked yet, it will get a lot longer when I'm done, and the sleeves will be longer, but it is also drop shoulder, so it is very drop shoulder. I wanted a cozy oversized sweater and I didn't want to have to think a lot. I just wanted to grab a color, knit until I was satisfied and just get it out of the way. This was a very satisfying project. I didn't have to think a lot until I got to the sleeves because I had to make sure I had enough of that color to actually finish a whole stripe. Since I had made all the stripes uniform until that part, I thought I couldn't fudge it too much. Though I do think one of them I accidentally did run out, and I just switched my beginning of round or something. Though I can't even see where I did it, so I think I only had like too few stitches, so it wasn't that big of a difference. Anyway, that's going to be on the underside of my arm anyway, so I don't think it matters that much. But yeah, this was very enjoyable. This is the first time I did 2x2 rib with a sewn bind-off. I did try it for the first time, both on the collar and on the hem. And like I don't think I did the best job, perhaps. But also it would probably been looked a lot neater if I had the same thickness of yarn for both of them. I didn't do them for the sleeves, just because I couldn't be bothered. But yeah, I have started to like 2x2 rib. Before I was a strictly 1x1 rib person. And I never understood what people meant when they said that they thought the 2x2 rib looked nicer or neater. But I think I kind of get that now. So yeah. So I did do a lot of decreases before I did sleeve cuffs, just to make sure they actually cinch in enough that I don't have to roll them to keep them off my hands. And I did also decrease down the sleeve, so it is slightly tapered, but not a lot. So yeah, that's the biggest thing I have to show. I do have a different t-shirt too. Different sweater, big project, I guess. Yeah, no. Anyway, I did make... Oh, it's a bit wrinkled. I made another one of my V-neck t-shirts, and I wanted to make it in a different yarn. And when I decided needle size for this project, I saw in my notes that I used the same needle size for this yarn in my like white lace cardigan. And I got the same gauge on that lace cardigan as I did for my t-shirts when I knit them in Untold Cotton Merino. So I thought it was safe to use the same needle size and not have to measure too much. But at some point I realized that this is looking a bit tighter than I anticipated. And I thought, well, as long as it's just the stitch gauge, it wouldn't matter. But it turns out it was the row gauge too. So it sits a bit weird on me compared to the other t-shirts I have. The V-neck is a bit too high, so it seems like it should have been a crew neck, but for some reason I forgot to add the stitches in between or something. So I don't think this is one of the t-shirts that I'm going to keep. I think at some point I'm going to frog it and reuse the yarn to knit a new one. I do have a few skeins left over. So yeah, I do think I will at some point frog this one to knit myself a new, slightly larger yellow t-shirt. I really do like this color though. I think it is really like happy, beautiful. it makes me very happy looking at it. And I do think this color would suit me very well if I just had the right size. So yeah, gauge issues are something that just happens at some point. Yeah, I think instead of knitting it with bigger needles, I will just, what's it called when you adjust the pattern instead of adjusting the gauge. That word has just disappeared. When you... If I remember the word, I'll let you know. It's slipped my mind. But you know, when you make a pattern available for more than one size. Yeah. Anyway, those are the two biggest objects that I have knit in the past. Well, not year, half year maybe. Last few months. So yeah, I do have a little variety of smaller projects I would like to show. And I'm going to make sure that I do have all the information. Oh, actually I have one more big project. I have it here. I had a different set of yarns where I had just one skein of a few of them, and decided I wanted to make one of these corner to corner blankets. They are very popular right now. I kind of feel like I was a bit on the front end of that curve for some reason. I usually not want to follow trends unless I am very early, because I get very bored seeing too many people make the same things. So I tend to not make the same pattern that everyone else is making. But I decided I just wanted to get rid of some of my stash yarn. I wanted to get things out that I didn't necessarily have any ideas for. My husband helped me choose the order I put the colors in, and I held them double, and I held them with one strand of Hanna by Permin. I don't remember the colorway, but I just wanted something to make it a tiny bit fluffier and also just holding it all together, kind of. So yeah, I just held them together, and at some point when I realized I didn't have very much left, I cut the threads, but I cut them at different length so that I could get a new color in before I dropped the first color. So I got a tiny bit more gradient than I would have gotten if I didn't. Though the colors are vastly different, and they also had very different thicknesses. So the amount of yarn I got out of one project wasn't necessarily, or one of the skeins weren't necessarily the same as the rest. So yeah, I'm very happy that I was able to get this much scrap yarn out of, not scrap yarn, but like random skeins out of my stash. So I have been keeping up with my stashing down, though I haven't been filming the stash down videos. So yeah, very happy with this blanket. I do think, yeah, it's almost half a kilo. It's 450 grams. And yeah, very soft, very cozy. It's just garter stitch, nothing very interesting. It does have an I-cord border that I knit at the same time, which is why it is color changing. So yeah, I like it a lot. I usually have it here on my chair while I'm working. So yeah, it's nice to just have something cozy next to you. Now, one of the latest projects I made was I found some random scraps in my stash. And I was trying to figure out if I could like make a third random Scrappy project. And I haven't quite figured it out yet, but one of them didn't go with the rest, and that was Lykkegarn thick merino in the colorway Mars. I do have a cable knit sweater in this yarn, and I had half a skein left over, or something like that. And I decided I wanted to knit myself a headband. So this is also not blocked. And also just a quick project, took a few days, just wanted something else to do. So I cast on here. You can see where I grafted them together. Or I didn't even graft them, I think I just sewn them together. So this is on the inside. I did 1 by 1 rib to make it slightly tighter than the outside. I knew I was going to fold it, I didn't want to make it double knit. So I just knit for quite a while, until I had approximately used half of the yarn. And then I did 1 row of knit, then 1 row of purl, and then I knit on the backside until I had knit a few more rows than what I had already done on the back. Then I did the purl row, a knit row, and back to doing the 1 by 1 rib. And I sewn them, did sew them together, and yeah, I think this will be very nice when it is blocked. At the moment it is a bit uneven and doesn't quite know how to lay flat, but it is very, very cute and warm. And I do think this is going to be very nice wearing it during the winter. So yeah. Okay. Now I do have some projects, small projects, where I just didn't want to think. I did have quite a while where I didn't feel like my brain was working properly. That's kind of something that happens when you've been sick for quite a while. So I just needed something where I didn't have to think. And I decided I wanted to do something with some of the small skeins that I had in my yarn stash. Some mini skeins, I guess we can call them. They were 10 or 20 gram minis. I don't quite remember. I think they're 10. So the very first one, I had to use 2 skeins, and I did have matching colors, so that was nice. It's the Spade Face Cloth by Anne. I'm not sure how to pronounce her last name. Machine, perhaps? But yeah. I ended up knitting quite a few of these ones. The first one I did exactly to pattern. And it's a free pattern, so it is possible to find it on Ravelry. And yeah, I cast it on exactly like the pattern said, and I knit until the first skein ran out and realized that I had approximately half the size that the pattern recommended. So I just added the second skein that I had in the same color and finished it. And it's very cute and relatively big. I don't think it's too big, but perhaps just bigger than I need them to be. So after I made the first one, I made quite a lot more, but I did them quite a lot smaller. I cast on only 35 stitches on the small ones, and on the first one I knit, I realized that I wasn't able to make it completely square, but it didn't matter that much. It was very slight difference. And yeah, I'm looking forward to actually using them. One of them I tried making in garter stitch, and garter stitch doesn't behave in the same way as this broken rib texture. So yeah, it was fun. I don't think I'll necessarily do garter stitch again in this pattern because it was a bit boring. I wanted an easy pattern to follow, but challenging enough that it would keep my attention. So yeah, it's a 4-stitch repeat, nothing very difficult, and it looks very nice. So yeah, I don't know if you're going to call it broken rib or like a waffle stitch pattern perhaps. I mean, they're just variations of each other anyway, so yeah. So I think I made 12 of these. Yeah, 12 of these. Some I haven't woven in the ends on. I'm going to set them aside and actually start using the ones where they are all woven in. Yeah. So yeah, they do have quite a big handful where I can just start using them, and I'm thinking I can just, because this is 100% cotton, I can just throw this in the wash when I'm done. So I'm planning on using them as what are called? Spa day face cloths. Yeah, I'm thinking of using them for washing my face at night, just because I think I will enjoy it. Yeah. A different project I also did with a lot of different yarns, where I made a lot of yarn cozies. I didn't follow a pattern, though I was inspired by Nitty Natty on YouTube. She has a few patterns available for yarn cozies, and I figured there's probably a reason why people make yarn cozies, and I wanted to try and figure out if they're useful or not. So I think I made one, and then I put one of my wound up skeins in it, and I realized, yes, if I only need to use one end of the yarn, it's very practical, especially since I usually do pull from the inside, so it doesn't fall into total chaos while I'm knitting. And it's also been very practical while I am out and about, because having these type of yarn balls in your knitting bag instead of just the random yarn alone made it a lot easier to not get everything tangled. So yeah, I did make 8. I made 4 in this green color, which is Lykkegarn Nord i Skogen. And I also, was it 4 or 5? I think perhaps there was 5 of these green ones. And I made 2 of this one, which is chain fiber in the colorway Dusk. Chain fiber singles or something like that. Not 100% certain. Fingering weight at least. And this one is the same yarn, but in the colorway Pink Sky. These were colors that these were yarns that I was struggling to figure out what to do with, since they are not sock yarn. And usually if I have one skein of something, I usually make socks of them. So having just one skein and not being able to make socks out of them made it kind of thinking like, what am I going to do? So this was a very nice project. I'm thinking I'm probably going to knit more, because I have a tendency to cast on a lot of projects and then slowly work through them. I have periods where I have a lot of creative energy, and that's when I cast on everything. And then I have periods where I don't want to think, and that's when I'm actually just working on things. So yeah, I am very pleased with this project. It was a lot more useful than I originally thought, because I just knit one and wanted to see would it even be useful, and I was like, oh, this is useful. Let's just make a million more. But yeah, I made 8 of them. So I don't know how I'm going to do it in the end of the year tally, because with all of my small projects, that's like 20 tiny things, but technically just 2 different projects. So I might count it as one thing, but in parentheses, there were 8 yarn cozies, there were 12 or how many more of the face cloths I'm going to make. I'm probably also going to make more of these. I do still have some yarn left over, but I don't think I have them. I don't have them on the shelf for some reason. Probably in this box instead. So yeah, I will make more. Not in this color, I don't have a lot left. The tiny bits I have in this one is now in the scrap bin, or scrap bins. I have 3 tiny ones on top of each other. They are all sock yarn. I am uncertain if this is sock yarn. I don't remember. So if I'm going to use it in a sock, I'm going to have to use it in the leg or perhaps in the cuff. But yeah. Okay, putting this down. Other than that, I did also make quite a lot of socks. Some of the socks I have made were these DK socks. They look a bit silly. Perhaps they will look better if I put them on. I haven't blocked these either. I am very much behind on the blocking of things, mostly because it's been raining a lot this summer. So I haven't wanted to even try, to be honest. But yeah, this is one of them. The other one is here. They are made out of Sandnes garn Perfect. And I'm not 100% certain about the color. It is a dark green color. I think it looks a bit more blue on camera. Oh well. They're dark green. I do suspect they're called something along the lines of forest green or something like that. But yeah, I made DK socks because I don't have any DK socks and I wanted to keep my feet warm in the winter. Usually I wear my under the oak socks, which is the second pair I'm going to show. Under the oak socks is my own pattern. It's available on Ravelry. It uses Dal Alpaca Forte, which I think are getting a new name, but I haven't quite figured it out yet. These one are shorties because I didn't have a lot of the red color left over. And if I do think I have a tiny bit more left over, so I'm going to make socks that have different colors in this contrast section. But yeah, this is the Alpaca Forte in the colorway Purpur and Deep Red. Usually they have two more sections like this on the leg, but I wanted a pair of shorty socks, and yeah, I like them a lot. Grading, that's the word I was looking for earlier. I have graded this pattern and I want to grade my t-shirt for the, no, my pattern for the t-shirts, so I can just knit it at a different gauge but still get the size I want. Yes, that's the one. Okay, I did grade this pattern. It has 4 sizes, I think. I think it's small, medium, large, and extra large. I can grade them for smaller sizes if anyone is interested, but I do think it would be better to knit a proper children's size sock at that point, because I do knit the smallest size for myself because I have very small feet. But yes, and these are, my pattern is inspired by the color palette socks. They are a fingering weight yarn. No, not yarn, pattern. Well, this is sport weight, and I did do quite a lot of changes, so it's not like I copied the pattern, but if you would prefer to knit with fingering weight, I do recommend that pattern. It is one size only, but it's not that difficult to grade it for other sizes. If you want some help with that, I am available. And they are very, very beautiful socks. So yeah, I am very happy. I do enjoy the fact that I was able to get all of the decreases for the gusset in just one stripe. I don't like it when they go over multiple. And also I don't want them to decrease in the stripe. Like the contrast stripe. Or actually this is the main color. So yeah. Okay. Do I have anything more to say about this pattern? I'm making a different pair of them now, but I'm going to show that later. So yeah. Those are my under the oak socks. Very pleased. Like the pattern. I mean, I wrote it, so obviously I do. Yeah. I don't think I have anything more to say about these. So yeah. Down they go. And the last pair, I can actually put these ones also with everything else. The last pair of socks is just a pair of vanilla socks, but I really did enjoy the yarn. I do think perhaps I like knitting with this type of yarn, or composition of yarn, I guess, more than a few of my other hand-dyed yarns, just because it is more elastic, so it's not so hard on my hands. It's a vanilla pair. I do my heel flap and gusset and heel turn, and I do like a wedge toe. These are difficult to hold. I'm not used to showing my socks with these blockers. But yeah, it's made out of Bestemor Meditating in Mumbai in the colorway 112. And I really do enjoy this this yarn. It was a leftover skin because I had knit a brioche hat, 2-color brioche hat in this color and a different, actually it's, how can I show? That one. That yarn was the contrast color I held with this to make the 2-color brioche hat. But I didn't use a lot for that yarn, so I had a lot left over. Also, I can get almost 2 pairs of socks out of 1 skein of yarn. So if I just have a contrast heel or heel and toes, I will be able to get more than 1 pair out of 1 skein. So yeah, I'm very pleased with these socks. They are very cute. I do also need to block these socks since I haven't blocked any of them. But yeah, I'm just gonna put this one away. Not too far away, as I will be showing more socks later. Okay. Oh, already half an hour, and I haven't even started speaking about the things I am knitting at the moment. So I can talk about the one in front of me first. This is my latest cast on, actually, and I did, for some reason, stop in the middle of a row. It is under the oak socks, and in a very different color palette, so it's a lot easier to see, but I'm in the middle of the heel flap. I usually only knit socks on the bus, so I guess I was I just had to put them away to either get off or on the bus. But yeah, I do carry the light green color through this contrast section, but I also carry it after the heel. In the pattern, I recommend that you start when you start the gusset, that you pick up on one of the sides of the heel so that the back of your foot is the beginning of round. I will still count the back of the heel as the beginning of round, but I will knit the first row in front here and then pick up stitches on the side and on the other side and then continue. I have done that with a different pair already and it worked well, so yeah. I'm just gonna do that. The grey color I cut between each time. It's a bit too far to carry comfortably. And I don't like the way it kind of cinches the fabric if you're not very careful. And if you are too careful, you get a gap, like a little tiny hole at the side. And I don't like that, so yeah. I cut the grey color and I weave in my ends to prevent any holes. This is going to be a gift for a friend of mine. So yeah, she'll get them when she gets them. Probably next week. I do hope to get them finished like sooner rather than later. But yeah, I'm not in a rush. I just want to get them done. So when they are done, I do have to remember to both block them and take photos, because I'm very bad at remembering to take photos of things I'm giving away. So many times I have to wait until they send me a picture of them wearing it before I can actually have a picture of the object. That's kind of silly. Oh well, putting it here. I have quite a few more projects actually. Oh, and one project I didn't show, which is finished. So if I am just a bit sneaky here, I did also crochet a bit. This is, it's a crochet basket that I saw the tutorial by TL Yarncraft. She crochets a lot and she gives out a lot of patterns, and I do think you can buy the pattern for this one, but I just followed the YouTube tutorial. And it works really great, and it stands up quite well by itself because I used a hook size that was smaller than what is actually technically comfortable to crochet with. So you do get quite tired when you make them. So, you know, remember to rest your hands and all of that. And yeah, I like this one so much. This was the second one I made because I made this one last year. This one I crocheted slightly looser. So this is more, the gray one is more wobbly. This one is very sturdy. And I decided I wanted to make one more because I'm trying to get rid of this yarn. This is Ellen yarn that I bought at Rusta. And I bought a lot of it when I was a student, and I used it exclusively for quite a while because it was, one, very cheap, and I was a very poor student. Well, not a poor student. That sounds like I was terrible at studying. I wasn't very financially stable. But yeah, I still wanted to knit and crochet and all of that, and that was before I started making garments. So this is 100% acrylic, and I do recommend using this for things like baskets and home goods and stuff like that. It's very durable. and it's also slightly water repellent. So yeah, it was very nice for its use. I don't recommend it for clothing. It is very heavy when you wear it, try to wear it. I have tried knitting a few garments with it, and they are a bit too heavy. But anyway, I decided I wanted to try and use up that yarn, so I started another basket. And this one is 3-colored, because I used up one scrap of the red one and then a scrap of the grey one before I started with the blue one, because I knew this one will be slightly bigger than the red one, but smaller than the grey one. And I knew that I didn't have enough of the blue yarn alone to make it all in one color. So I figured most people will never see the inside or the bottom unless I show it to them. So it didn't matter that the bottom didn't have the same color. I'm holding the yarn triple, and I'm doing the trick with the loop where you just pull more of it through. It's very practical. And I will probably make a second or fourth one in red, because my grandma did say she really liked the basket and wanted one that was slightly bigger. So she wants one that's slightly bigger than this grey one. I don't know if I'm going to be able to make very many more of them. It depends on how long this is going to take me. It might become a Christmas present. I don't crochet a lot very often. It is harder on my hands than knitting are, so I kind of have to be careful about it. But yeah, I will probably work more on that later. I do also have a different crochet project, and it's really big. It's a color pooling blanket, but I don't have the energy to pull that out at the moment. So you'll see it when I have worked more on it. Now, I have 4 more projects. I'm gonna start with another sock. This is another vanilla sock pattern. This is made out of Fosenfarger in, well, the label didn't have any color names, but I'm using blue and green yarn from Fosenfarger. I don't think they make or dye yarn anymore. That also, Garn also don't. Dye yarn anymore. So the colorway Mars, the headband I showed earlier, she don't dye anymore. I have gotten into the gussets. This is the sock where I did carry the blue. Well, carry and carry, I just kept knitting with it. So yeah, it doesn't look like a lot. It never does when it's just a sock. I always do my heel flap, heel turn, and gusset. I do them the same every time. How I prefer to knit my vanilla socks, they are usually 15 rows in the cuff, sometimes 20, but I think they're a bit too long when I do 20. I have, most of my socks do have 1x1 ribbing, but lately I've been doing a lot of 2x2. I do 20 or 30 rows before I start on the heel, depending on whether or not I want it to be slightly taller or not. Then I do my heel flapping gussets. My heel, I do over half of the stitches, and I do a slip stitch heel. And when I do my gusset on vanilla socks, I decrease every other round to give it a more tapered decrease instead of being too steep, because I have a slightly higher instep. And after I'm done with the decreases, I knit 50 more rows. So I will do 70 rows altogether in the foot, because I do decrease 10 stitches on either side of the gusset. So 20 rows. That also is also because even though I have 16 stitches in my 16 rows in my heel flap, I pick up extra stitches. I pick up one extra at the very top, and I pick up 18 stitches altogether, because I pick up one extra on the top, and I pick up two to at the bottom that I knit straight together to prevent the hole. And I do that on both sides to make them the same. So yeah, that's what's been working for me. And I also knit them on Shigu needles with size 2.5 millimeter and 16-inch cord, I think. No, 9-inch cord, 16 centimeters, I think. Yeah, I don't think I have a lot more to say. This is usually on the bus project, but since I've started a different sock pair, these are probably going to hibernate for a little while. I don't usually knit on more than one pair of socks at a time. If I do knit on 2 different bases, like this is fingering weight, the other sock pair is sport weight, that's usually fine. But since most of the time when I do knit on socks are on the bus, there's not very practical knitting on both. So yeah, I don't bring more than one project with me on the bus. That would be too much in my bag. Let's see, I've talked about that one and this one and that one. I guess we can take this one first. So yeah, this is a self-drafted pattern. I will probably not at any point release it because it's a very simple pattern. I am knitting myself a sweater. And it's a very simple raglan sweater with waffle stitch pattern. It's knit out of Lille. No, that's not right. This is Lykkegarn. I don't have a lot of her yarn left over since she stopped dyeing, but I do have some, and I have this yarn. This is Lykkegarn in the colorway Carnival, and it's fingering weight. And I'm holding it together with Hanna by Permin in the colorway white. This is the colorway I knit the shawl on in the end of last year, beginning of January. So yeah, I haven't picked up the color yet. I'm still on the first skein. It takes a while because it is fingering weight with, well, this is not a mohair, but I guess it does fluff out, so it is slightly bigger than fingering weight. I'm planning on using this as an inner layer from, like instead of just using one sweater. I will be wearing this underneath on very cold days. So yeah, I don't have a lot more to say. I'm hoping this will not be as tight as the yellow t-shirt, though I don't think it's going to be a big problem. I'm hoping I'm going to be able to wear this next to skin, but if not, I'm going to get myself one of these very thin long-sleeved kind of t-shirt thing. I don't know. Close-fitted enough that this one will just be the second layer instead of the first. and then a proper sweater on top of that. That's the plan. So I will be knitting these sleeves relatively fitted and the body relatively fitted, but not with negative ease. Yeah. And I'm going to try and put this away without stabbing myself with needles. Okay. Now, I have 2 more projects. These are projects you have seen before, so if you're not interested, this is probably where you can end it. But yeah. One of them is a shawl I've been knitting on for quite a while. I think I started it last year. One of the few projects I'm left that I have been knitting on for probably a year. I don't know why I haven't worked a lot on this. I guess I just haven't been in the mood. Also, the rows take longer and longer, so I guess I'm starting to get a bit tired. But it's not big enough yet. I'm only on the 2nd skein of the background collar. This is inspired by the Slippy V shawl that Westknit have come out with. Though I don't own that pattern, I just saw the slip stitch pattern and thought, oh, that looks fun. And then I did my own thing with it. And I used Life in the Long Grass. I did at some point last year, maybe the year before, buy a kit from Westknit. It was one of those like secret knit-alongs or whatever I'm gonna call it. Like, you wouldn't know the pattern until after you got the yarn. And the yarn was also a surprise. And when I first got these colors, I didn't like them. I don't know why. Because now I really do like them. It's this very pale pink color, and this slightly more orangey pink, and this very green color. The last color is darker, even darker than this color. There are Life in the Long Grass singles in the colorway Angel City, Melon Dew, Honeydew something, and Girly Tomato. If I mixed up some of the color names, they will be in the description. I do know I have them correct there. So yeah, I have gotten quite a lot further. I do still have quite a lot of this color left. I am knitting from both ends because I'm doing some intarsia to keep things pretty, I guess. And yeah, I'm doing intarsia here on the end so I can get one continuous color on this side. Also on this side, though I don't do intarsia on this side because this is where other way around. This is where I do the intarsia. This is where I just keep the old color because the green one is getting in here. I'm using the green now, that's why I'm getting confused. I'm in the green row. Okay, I don't think there's a lot more to say about this one. I do use 3mm needles, which is also why this takes ages. The sweater I use 3.5, I think. Yeah, 3.5. That might be why my knitting has slowed down quite a bit, because before I used very many different needle sizes, but I feel lately that my needle sizes have just decreased quite a lot. I don't know if it's just that I enjoy working longer on a project, because it means I don't have to start thinking of new projects, but at some point you do get kind of tired just working on one project. I do have one more project to show. This is my oldest project now. I don't have anything older. Well, that's not true. The crochet project is older, the blanket, but I knew that was going to be a really long-term project, so that doesn't bother me. But this one should probably have been finished quite a while ago. I just haven't... I don't feel like working on it for a long time at the time. So I do a few rows and then I put it down and a week goes by and then I perhaps pick it up again. But yeah, this is a red sweater that I have self-drafted. It doesn't focus. There you go. Focus on me. Thank you. It's made out of Strikkista Potential, and I don't think it technically has a color name, but I did look at their website, and the different base had this color and it was called Lollipop, so I just keep calling this color Lollipop. I think Potential got the name because they weren't necessarily planning on keeping it, because this one is light fingering weight. It's 600 meters per 100 grams. It takes me ages, and I knit them on 2.5mm needles, so no wonder they're taking me ages. I did recently switch over to Shy Goose on this project too, because I figured perhaps one of the reasons why I didn't knit that much on it was because I didn't like the needles. I did think they were a bit too blunt, so I had to very concentrate. I had to concentrate a lot to actually make sure that I actually got the stitch off the needle and actually was able to knit and not just poke my knitting. So yeah, I should really just get this done, I guess. This is the last project I'm working on. Yeah. I don't think I have anything more to say about my projects. And I've been talking for almost an hour. So yeah. I haven't been on YouTube for quite a while. I did mention in some of my stash down videos that I wasn't feeling quite well and that hopefully I would make a podcast soon. But it was easier to just talk about the stash down than showing all of the things I'm working on. So I think that might be the reason why I've been doing more stash down videos than knitting podcasts. But I am thinking I should instead do podcast videos and just mention how the stash down things are going. And in the spirit of that, this is a tiny stash down portion of the video. Yes. When I started this project in May of last year, I started with 28,167 grams of yarn, which is more than 28 kilos of yarn. And technically 281 skeins, if I had them in 100 gram skeins. That is a bit much. And also I did know I had a lot of yarn in my stash that I wasn't particularly excited about. So my goal hasn't necessarily been to get to zero, but more get the yarn I don't enjoy using out of my stash. So when I look at my stash, I only get inspired instead of frustrated. So I did a lot of things. I did some destashing, though not as much as I was afraid of. I didn't destash any of this yarn, which was my original plan, but I have given myself a deadline. Everything I have left over at the end of this year of that yarn, I will give away. I do not enjoy using it for anything other than crochet, and I can't crochet a lot anyway. So the amount of crocheting I am gonna do, I should do on the blanket. So yeah, I did destash some. I did use a lot. And other than that, I have also bought a lot. But I counted down every month how much yarn I had used and all of that, and ended up with, in the beginning of August, 23,356 grams. So I was down almost 5 kilos. I did a recount after that, and somewhere along the lines, my math didn't math, I guess. So after recounting, I probably forgot to add something. I probably took out too much because I still kept the scraps of some yarn. I don't know. But after counting everything, I have 24,272 grams. That's still almost 4 kilos down, but not quite the same. So I don't quite know what my plan going forward is going to be. Because I don't necessarily want to work really hard on a quick project to get a lot of yarn out, which is something I did kind of do over the summer. Like, I knit a Scrappy sweater, I knit a Scrappy blanket, I knit a pair of Scrappy socks. I did all of those tiny projects just to get small random amounts of skeins, random amount of yarn out of my stash. And I don't think I necessarily counted them quite correctly when I put them into my stash. Because I did see that I have more than 24 skeins of the cotton yarn that I'm using for these. But in my notes I only had 24. And yeah. Somewhere I did a counting error, or perhaps I forgot that I brought something in. But because I wanted to start relatively fresh, I did start a new knitting journal where I am recording all of my projects and also all of my yarn. So this is how much I have used each month. And I did transfer some information over from the last journal. I did write down all of my current projects, and I did get 2 of them done, so that's very nice. And I did separate out my types of yarn. So the very first one here is lace weight. I only kept 1 page for lace weights. I don't know, you can probably not see it all. No. I have 1 page for lace weights because I generally don't use a lot of lace weight. I know a lot of people use a lot of mohair, but I can't use mohair. It is too itchy for me. The only mohair I can use is Hanna by Permin, which doesn't have any mohair in it at all. It is silk and merino and what's it called? Cashmere. That's the one. I also now remember that there's one more project I didn't show you, but that's fine. I'll show you next time. I do have a lot of fingering weight, so I did put a lot of... I did keep a lot of pages just for the fingering weight, but I also kept 2 whole pages open for future purchases of fingering weights. And then I have 2 pages of sport weight, which are mostly my sock yarn, the Dalla Alpaca which I do have quite a lot of and will probably buy more at some point. And then I have, I think, 2 pages of DK, but I only used one of them, so I didn't feel the need to give that more space. And I also have 1 page of worsted, which I did keep 1 extra page open for worsted weight. And I have 1/2 a page for iron weight, because I only have 1. That is the crochet project. So yeah, I most definitely use a lot more fingering weight than anything else, because I have over 80 different entries in my little book. I think closer to 100. So yeah, most of them are sock yarn, though I don't necessarily going to use them for socks. But for some reason, yeah, I think it perhaps just is my new favorite yarn weight. It used to be DK. I used to knit a lot of very warm things like hats and socks and mittens and things like that. So having them like really thick with the like keeping things warm, that was kind of the goal. But the more I've knit, the more like I don't need a million more hats. I don't need a million more warm woolen socks, though I for some reason keep knitting them and I keep using them. So and I do use my finger weight socks a lot, mostly in the summer because I still have cold feet. So I do put woolen socks outside of my normal socks, even if they're just fingering weight. So yeah. I don't think there's anything more I want to say, and I think we're going to skip the life portion of this podcast just because it's so long already. So yeah, I do hope you have enjoyed this podcast and enjoyed the new setup. It's been quite a while in the making. And yeah, I hope to see you next time. Bye.